Hello again, everyone. Hope you are well on a late Tuesday night here. It is about 11:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as I record this. And things are escalating over in Eastern Europe, folks. And I think there's some things we need to be doing to get prepared for it here in North America. And I'm going to go into that here in a second. But NATO warns that full-scale attack on the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv, is in the works by Russia, and this risks a full-blown war with Europe in general. This has a potential to really escalate much further than people are thinking about or can imagine. Russian forces have moved into eastern Ukraine. They occupy a part of that. Question is, how deep, how far will it go? Based on what Mr. Putin said yesterday, he intends to have all of Ukraine under his influence, and believes, he's been very adamant, and believes that Ukraine is a part of Russia, always has, and blames former leaders from the USSR, Soviet Union, and Russia for allowing this to happen at the end of the Cold War. So he's made his intentions very clear. In response, the United States has shifted some air power, F-35 fighter planes, and a battalion of Apache attack helicopters from Germany to the Baltic states and into Poland in an attempt to reinforce NATO's eastern flank. There's also been a rush to get more supplies, weapons into Ukraine to help the Ukrainian army as well. When I read this and doing research, it feels like the beginning of a Tom Clancy novel that you might have read in the late 80s in the height of the Cold War, or the beginning of one of those made for TV movies that it didn't end well. So there is that. But Biden announced earlier today, that heavy sanctions are going on, will be put on Russia starting tomorrow. He had threatened this if Russia had invaded, which they are now. And I must believe that Putin has already weighed this out. He's already wargamed this and knew this was coming. And I don't believe it'll have that much of an effect on them or him. It's going to take Ukraine, and so the sanctions, I don't believe, it's not much of a deal, much of a pain to him, at least not right now. And also there's not just air power armies, there's a lot of sea power building up in that area too, y'all. In the Mediterranean Sea, you've got Russia is massing a lot of Navy vessels to counter NATO's Navy build up there as well. So between the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea, it's just south of that region of the where Ukraine is located, you've got United States naval vessels there. You've got a lot of Russian vessels. You've got French and Italian. UK as well is present. So all those are relatively close together. So that's a very concerning situation as well. So a lot building up here. What does this mean for us? What do we need to prepare for? Well, and I mentioned this before, but I was reading a little bit more into it earlier a while ago. And there are some other things that we need to be prepared for or might see. And cyber attacks, first of all, So I had mentioned this several videos ago, is that, if Putin invades, then the United States, Biden puts heavy sanctions on Russia, and as a response to that, back to the United States, you could see heavy cyber attacks. So cyber attacks not just in Ukraine, but against the United States and probably Europe. So cyber attacks, and I was reading earlier, Russia has the capability to either disable and or destroy United States satellites as well. So this could impact a lot of different things. Let's think about it. This can impact your GPS, navigation, farming, anything from that to farming, automation, production, manufacturing, oil production, oil exploration. I mean, so much relies on the internet and communications. It could affect banks, power plants, all kind of communications, water treatment facilities as well. So this could have a big effect on anything from the food supply, food production, to our utilities, power, water, internet, cell phones. Take out the GPS, take out some satellites, there goes your GPS. In an instant, it's gone. So, a lot of the military relies on that as well. I mean, think about how much you use that on a daily basis. All of this stuff. You just take that away in a moment. What are you going to do? Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for no power for a while? Also, not to mention the effect on gasoline. I can imagine it's probably already spiking even more right now, but I think gasoline, the oil is almost at $100 a barrel. And I believe that gasoline prices could really skyrocket here very quickly. And so keep that in mind as you're planning, as you're working and taking trips. Try not to let your gas tank get less than half full. Keep your gas tanks full as possible. If you have a way to store it, do that, safely, of course. So energy, think about energy, all right? Okay. Please share your thoughts on that, of course. Got a verse for the day, of course. We need to keep praying, y'all. Man, we need to keep praying all the time. Verse for the day is Luke chapter 16, verse 10. And it says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will be dishonest with much." Amen. Seeing a lot of that, aren't we? A lot of that going around. And this just popped in my mind earlier. I mentioned energy just a minute ago. Oil, gasoline, skyrocketing. And over the last year or so, this administration in this country has done all it can to shut down oil production. I mean, it's almost like that's the plan, isn't it? Well, we know that. We know the answer to that. It's the plan. Part of a much, much bigger plan. But we can keep praying and we can prepare the best we can. Y'all take care. Be safe. Be aware out there. God bless you. I will see you soon.